There's a distinctly rosy glow coming from Breakingviews this morning, good for some but dangerous for others. Rose-tinted glasses in Spain can only mean trouble ahead, and a messy deal finally tidies itself up. With me is Chris Hughes. You feeling rosy this morning, Chris?
Very, of course.
Excellent. Let's start with Spain. Yeah. Adding the stress tests to, well, you say the saga of missteps.
Yeah.
But no downgrade from Moody's over the weekend, or just before the weekend.
No, but this is still slightly disappointing. What you want with the stress test, obviously, is a really credible assessment of the nightmare scenario. And if you compare the assumptions in the latest Spanish bank stress test with, say, similar exercises in Ireland, it's not actually as gloomy as it could be. I mean, do you remember that the Spanish have been given sort of carte blanche by the European Union to kind of really think bad here. You know, they've been told, look, there's 100 billion euros of capital available to you if you need to recapitalise the banks. In the end, the Spanish have come up with a figure of 60 billion. And that is it's not really conservative. I mean, that's a little bit on the rosy side, and it's based. That number is lower than 100 billion because they've made certain assumptions where you think that's a little bit on the generous side. So, for example, there are a large amount of undeveloped land in Spain, given the enormous glut of real estate. You might say, is that really worth anything at all? That should be written down to zero. And that's what you've seen in other stress tests. But in this one, it still has some value. I think it's down about, don't hold me to this, I think it's down about 80%. I mean, so it still has that sort of, that baked-in optimism.
Okay.
And so one wonders whether actually 60 billion is the number.
Do you feel more optimistic about Spain now? Does Breakingviews feel more optimistic about Spain now?
Well, look, all of the sort of building blocks are in place. You have got the support of the ECB. If they're satisfied and they're going to go in and buy bonds, bring down the yields, you could have a kind of virtuous circle. But the pressure is still on Spain to deliver on reforms, and we're going through a phase now where the social unrest in these peripheral countries, we're very worried is actually going to make the leadership kind of soften a bit on the needed reforms that need to be implemented.
Yep.
So, as time goes on, more and more of the pieces of the Eurozone solution come into place, but at the same time, you have that increased worry that the leadership are going to kind of drag their feet on the reforms that need to be implemented.
Okay, Glencore ex strata, a tidy compromise on a messy deal is your take on this. We're eventually wrapping this up.
Well, we'll see whether it goes ahead. What we have at last, really, is a new recommended, and in our view, recommendable proposal from Glencore to merge with ex strata. Now, look, we've never thought this is an absolutely compelling deal by any means. I mean, there's risks to bringing together these two companies that have very different cultures, but from the ex strata perspective, what they're getting is a good share of the combined company, a premium that looks better than they'll get from any other bidder, so long as Glencore's got this big blocking stake. And there was a big row about retention bonuses for ex strata staff. Now they are still there, but you're removing the really egregious one from McDavis, and frankly they look necessary given the need to retain the key ex strata managers. So, and also shareholders can vote in favour of the deal and vote against the retentions if they don't like them. So look, it's a sensible compromise. We think on balance, while it's not absolutely compelling, it's probably worthwhile ex strata shareholders accepting this.
Okay, good. Chris, many thanks for that. Chris Hughes, for more agenda setting insight, watch our US Breakingviews show every day, 12:30 Eastern, 17:30 BST. I'm Axel Threlvel, this is Reuters.